All right, this right here is the Maono PD300. No, it's not. Sorry. This is the Maono PD300x. This is the Fifine K688.
That man's an imposter.
Now, although they look basically identical, they're both black, same windsock, both XLR and USB microphones, basically the exact same, there are a few key differences. The first major difference is in the build of these two microphones. The Maono is significantly heavier than the Fifine. This one comes in at 523 grams, and the Fifine is at 328, so significantly lighter. You can't really tell in this shot here, but the Maono is actually a bit smaller too. So not only is it smaller, but it's also quite a bit heavier. And in the tech world, smaller and heavier typically means better quality components. The Maono also has its own dedicated software called the Maono Link, which more on that in just a minute. Another huge difference is that the Maono can record 24-bit and up to 196K for sample rate, whereas the Fifine can only record 16-bit and up to 48 kilohertz. Now keep in mind, that really only matters if you're using the USB outputs. If you're using the XLR outputs, your interface is going to determine the sample rate and the bit depth. So something to consider. And the Fifine's kind of getting left in the dust with the 16-bit recording. 24-bit is definitely more of the standard these days, and it's really nice to have 24-bit like the Maono has. I will say though that 196 kilohertz for a USB microphone seems a bit maybe overkill. Like the bottleneck is in the quality of the components, not in the ability to record super high sample rates. It's kind of like putting a RTX 4090 in a Game Boy. It's like, the Game Boy is what determines the quality of the video, you're not limited by the graphics card. So 196 kilohertz, nobody is probably ever gonna use that with a USB microphone like this. That's like a sub $100 USB microphone, but kind of cool to have. All right, let's go downstairs to the Studio Bricks and try out both of these microphones back to back, because you're probably on Amazon wondering which one of these you should buy. We'll also throw the Maono PD100x into the mix, just so you can hear that too. And we'll record my voice as well as my wife, so you can get a bit of a sample for male voice and female voice.
Wow, would you just look at that subscribe button? That's such a cool looking button. I wonder what it would feel like to click.
Yeah, that is a really cool subscribe button. I bet it would feel pretty cool to click. Like all of a sudden you're just subscribed.
Wow, would you just look at that subscribe button? That's such a cool looking button. I wonder what it would feel like to click.
Oh yeah, wow, that is a really cool subscribe button. I bet you it would feel really cool to click because all of a sudden you'd just be subscribed.
Wow, would you just look at that subscribe button? That's such a cool looking button. I wonder what it would feel like to click.
Yeah, you're right. That is a really cool looking subscribe button. I bet you it would feel pretty cool to just click it, because then you'd be subscribed.
Yeah, subscribe. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect, bud.
Now listening back to those recordings, I found that the Maono PD300x and the Fifine K688 sounded quite similar as well. I don't think there was too much of a difference in sound quality between these two microphones. In terms of how they actually sound compared to one another, on my voice, I didn't notice a ton of difference. Some of that could have just been shaken up to a bit of positioning, as well the pop filters are a little bit different, but I think you'd be happy with either one of them. One big thing that I noticed, which is a huge win for the Maono PD300x, is a massive improvement in handling noise. Like I can touch this microphone, get a little bit of handling noise. With the Fifine K688, it was abysmal. The handling noise was absolutely unusable in my opinion, to the point where if you had headphones plugged in here and you moved, check. I will give a very, very small win to the Fifine K688 for the placement of the knobs. I do like having them at the bottom. I found them to be a little bit more accessible than this knob right here, which I have to like bend my hand weirdly to get to. Also, I hate double function knobs. These are single function knobs. I love that. Let's get into the Maono Link app as well, but one last little point of comparison between these two microphones, because I feel like these are going to be a pretty hot topic on Amazon deciding between the two of them. Right now, this is listed for $72 on Amazon, the Fifine K688, and the Maono PD300x is listed for $99. So $27 difference between the two of them. With the build quality differences, the improvements of the handling noise, the higher res recording, and the Maono Link app, the extra $27, in my opinion, is kind of a no-brainer. So I would definitely suggest springing for the PD300x over the Fifine K688 if that's something that you're considering. Now, I did mention that this microphone comes with the Maono Link app, and that's awesome. I used the PD100x with the Maono Link app in a previous video, and I thought that the app was really quite good. They have some baked-in presets for like podcasting and recording, which I found to be a little bit janky. Like I would never really use those presets, but I did find like the built-in effects and compression and just the whole usability of the app to be quite good. That said, I have to put a big pause on this. The Maono Link app is currently not available for the PD300x at the time of recording this video on Mac computers. And I use a Mac primarily. I have a Windows PC downstairs, which I'll show you some screenshots of what the app looks like on PC. I did reach out and say, when is it coming to Mac? They said the iOS version will be released at the end of this month. That's what they say. I'm going to report on this microphone as it is right now, which is currently there is no Mac version, so I can't really show you that, but I'll show you some screenshots from my PC. Quickly, let's talk about what comes in the box. You do get a USB-C to USB-C with a USB-A adapter. It's about 3 feet long, and it's a pretty nice quality USB cable. And you also get one of these little threaded adapters, which is great to have. And aside from that, that's basically all that comes in the box. It's quite simple. Let's quickly jump into some of the tech specs that stood out to me. 42 decibels of gain when you're using USB mode, so that's quite a lot of gain. I didn't find that I ever had an issue where I needed to crank it to full. Usually I'd have it around 1/2 to 3/4, and that was ample gain for speaking. I do find that it handles plosives quite well. It does get a bit messy on if you're right up on the grill here. It does get a bit messy, just sort of mushes some of those words a little bit. But if you back off just slightly, even turn it slightly off axis, you tend to get pretty good sound. Like to me, this sounds quite nice. Even crank up the gain a little bit and turn it just a tiny bit more off axis like this. To me, this sounds quite nice. Peter Piper packed a pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper packed a pack of pickled peppers. All right, let's talk about the pros and cons of this microphone, and then we'll wrap this up. So I've got this written down here, so that's why I'm reading on the side. But pros and cons, number 1, the Maono Link does not yet work on Mac. I don't know when it's coming. They said the end of the month, but who knows if that's actually going to happen. I hope it does. It's a cool app. At least it was for the PD100x, so excited about that. 2, presets inside of the app, at least on the Maono Link PD100x, again, sucked. The presets are awful. And I watched a video of someone showing off the presets for this on Windows, and there's like a podcasting preset which rips out all the low end. Don't use the presets. Don't be fooled by the preset. I really wish they would consult an audio professional when building these presets, because they clearly weren't built by an audio professional. No audio professional would ever make a preset that sounded the way these did. So don't use the presets. Just try to figure out the EQ, listen, use your ears, and make a preset for yourself that sounds good with your voice. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments. People will be happy to help. For context though, I'm using this flat right now. No EQ, nothing. Flat as can be. Don't think you have to do a whole bunch of magic to make the microphone sound good. Out of the box, sounds quite good. And finally, in my opinion, this is probably one of the best podcast style dynamic microphones that you can buy for $100 on Amazon at the moment. You can also get an SM57 for $100. So SM57s are also great. This works really well for podcasting because it's got the pop filter. It's really designed to be right on it, whereas a 57 isn't. You can also get a 58. There are lots of options around $100. This is pretty good. This, don't waste your time. Save up, get something a little bit better. It's going to give you way better quality. I think that Maono just took everything that Fifine did with this microphone. They clapped back and made it a lot better in almost every way. Pretty sweet. Your move, Fifine.
This sounds pretty good.